Hello, this is Stat 512 group project checkpoint one. We are group 18, and the members of this group is Xiaochen Wang, Kylie Wenson, Melody Yang, and Songmin Yun. The purpose of this assignment is to perform a multilinear regression analysis on the socioeconomic effects of crime rates in the United States. And for this checkpoint, we will develop the research question and state the corresponding statistical hypothesis, and each member will formulate their individual research questions. The first research question is when median wage is controlled, does increase of the unemployment percentage, median rent price, and percentage of poverty rate lead to increase in nonviolent crime? The goal of this question is to investigate the effects of economic difficulty and its effect on nonviolent crime rates. And through this question, we seek to ask with such economic difficulties like poverty, high rent price, and unemployment, still significantly influences nonviolent crime rates is the median income is controlled. So the five areas of interest include uh, median income, percentage of population unemployed, percentage of population living on the poverty line, median rent, and nonviolent pop per capita. The original 147 by 2215 observation was transformed to five variables to 2118 observation when the relevant variables were used and the missing data was cleaned. The proposed linear equation is the following, where the nonviolent crime equals to intercept times the coefficient and the median income, coefficient and the unemployment, coefficient and the poverty and the population under poverty, and coefficient and the rent median, and a random error. The hypothesis to test the three predictors is equals to beta 2 and beta 3 and beta 4 equals to 0, where the beta 2, 3, 4 and the coefficients for the unemployment, poverty, and median. And the alternative hypothesis is that at least one of those coefficient is not 0. Here are the regression results. So X median income, the median income has a coefficient of negative 0.073 and a very low p-value. The unemployment percentage has a negative 9.24 and a very high p-value of 0.736. And the percentage of population under poverty has a coefficient of 122 and a very low p-value. And the rent median has a coefficient of 3.316 and a very low p-value as well. The table results shows that the increase in the percentage of on the poverty and the rent medians are associated with an increase in nonviolent crime. But the percentage of unemployment is not statistically significant in this model. Here are the residual and the fitted and the normal QQ plot of the model. So the residual versus fitted plot show that the residuals does not follow a specific curvature, indicating good linearity. However, the residual shows that a funnel-like pattern due to the variance increasing with fitted value. This indicates heteroscedasticity and non-constant variance. The normality of the model is also violated as the right tail of the QQ plot shows a strong skew upwards.
For research question 2, we assess that after controlling for all other factors, how do median income, percentage of household with wages, and percentage of unemployment affect violent crime rates? To answer this, we constructed a linear regression model using data from 1,994 points after removing the 221 data points that are missing from the violent crimes per population column. Our null hypothesis is that all three coefficients are zero, meaning that all these socioeconomic factors have no effect on violent crimes. The alternative hypothesis states that at least one of these factors have a non-zero effect on crime rates. So here is the results of our linear regression test. First of all, median income has a statistically significant and negative effect on violent crime. The coefficient of median income is negative 0.007 with a very small p-value. This indicates that with all things equal, higher median income is associated with slightly lower violent crime rates. Second, the percentage of households with wage or salary income does not appear to be a significant predictor when controlling for all other factors. It has a coefficient of negative 0.994 and but however the p-value is 0.6, which is above conventional significance threshold. This suggests that simply having more household earning wages, independent from median income and unemployment, is not strongly associated with violent crime rates. Finally, unemployment stands out as the strongest predictor in our model. The coefficient is 86.2 with a very small p-value. This shows that there is a strong positive relationship between higher unemployment and higher violent crime rates. However, it is important to note that this model only accounts for 25% of the variation in violent crimes. This indicates that while median income and unemployment are significant factors, most of the variation in violent crimes is due to other variables that we did not include in this model.
Hi, I'm Melody, and my research question was, when controlling for a percentage of population under poverty and unemployment rate, does the state's long-run poverty tier significantly affect total crime rates per population? So yeah, after cleaning our missing data, I had 302 observations. My response variable was total crimes per population. My continuous predictors were percent population under poverty, percent unemployed, and percent police on patrol. My categorical predictor is poverty tier, which classifies each state's long-run poverty level as low, mid, or high, with low as our reference level, which introduced our two indicator variables for mid and high. Our overall model had a R squared of about 0.44. So yeah, before fitting the model, I created some scatter plots of each continuous predictor against total crime to visually assess whether a linear relationship exists. Percent population under poverty showed a clear positive trend with total crime supporting a linear fit. Percent unemployed, however, showed a weaker positive visual trend, though its coefficient was actually negative in the regression, suggesting confounding with poverty. And our percent police on patrol showed no clear pattern, with most observations clustered around 80 and 100%. So yeah, let's look at our regression table. Community level poverty was our strongest predictor at 321.26 with a p-value less than 2e negative 16. For my main hypothesis on the categorical variable, communities in high poverty tier states show about 972 more crimes per capita than low tier states, significant at p equals about 0.003. Mid-tier is positive but not significant, so we reject our null hypothesis that state level poverty structure does have an independent effect. Lastly, for diagnostics, our residual versus fitted plot shows good linearity, but a mild funnel shape suggesting heteroscedasticity. Our QQ plot deviates in both tails, indicating heavier tails in a normal distribution and a partial violation of normality.
Alright, I'll be going over research question 4, and this question is, when controlling for poverty unemployment, is higher education associated with lower violent crime rates? So our variables of interest include the percent of the population living under the poverty line, the percentage of the population that's unemployed, the percentage of the population with a bachelor's degree or higher, and then the total violent crime rates per population. The original data set of 147 variables to 2,215 observations were transformed to only 4 variables and 1,994 observations. So our linear equation is as follows. So we have violent crime rates per population equals beta 0 plus beta 1 times percent population under poverty plus beta 2 times percentage of the population that's unemployed plus beta 3 times the percent that have the bachelor's degree or more plus the error. So our hypothesis is that the percent that has a bachelor's degree or more has no effect on the violent crime rates per population. And then our alternative hypothesis is that the percent that has a bachelor's degree or more has a negative effect on Y. And so when we performed this regression in R, we found that higher poverty and unemployment rates are significantly associated with higher violent crime rates, while higher education levels are significantly associated with lower violent crime rates. And all these predictors are statistically significant, and we can see that with their p-value. So when we look at this graph, we can see that there's a clear funnel shape. We can see that there's a clear funnel shape right here. So this shows us that there's an increasing variance at higher fitted values. It is showing that there's not a constant variance. So in other words, the constant variance assumption is violated. The normal QQ plot graph shows us that the residuals are not perfectly normal. There's a right side skewness and some large positive residuals and potential outliers. So overall, it suggests that the normality assumption is probably violated. And right here at figure 3, we have the relationship between the percent of the population having a bachelor's degree or more and the violent crime rates per the population. This shows that the relationship between violent crime rates and education levels have a negative relationship. We can see this right here, that there's a downward slope. So that as education levels increase, violent crime rates decrease. Next, we have a scatter plot that shows the relationship between the percent of the population living under poverty and the violent crime rate variable. We can see that there is a positive relationship here with a positive slope, this line right here. So, in other words, as the poverty levels increase, so does the violent crime rates. And then down here, we have the relationship between percent unemployed as well as the violent crime rates. And again, similar to the graph above, we see a positive slope here. So there's a positive relationship. As unemployment rates increase, so does the violent crime rates. The upward trends in these graphs indicate that there's a positive relationship. And so it suggests that the higher education is associated with lower violent crime rates, even after accounting for poverty and unemployment. So in conclusion, this just concludes the multilinear regression analysis on the socioeconomic effects on the crime rates in the United States of America utilizing the Communities in Crime dataset. Each team member developed their own research question and used the variables of interest to explore if the assumptions of linear